Hello and welcome to the two-man power trip of wrestling. Your host, JP John Poz. With me today, very special guest, former AEW superstar, former Ring of Honor superstar, Mr. Fuego Del Sol. Welcome in. How you doing?
Doing well. How are you?
Good, good. What's going on in your world? What are you up to?
I'm just staying busy, man. I got a lot of GCW days coming up. I'll be back at AEW for a show tomorrow in Austin, Texas. Anytime they're near me here in Oklahoma, they let me know to come on out. So, like I said, I did a whole stint with them last summer for Ring of Honor, and then I was just there this past Saturday for the Ring of Honor taping after Collision in Houston, Texas, and I'll be back with them to Dynamite tomorrow in Austin. So, looking forward to that.
Nice. So good relationship with them. You were able to stay, connected with them.
Yes, yeah, we've I left on good terms, and we've always had a good working relationship. Me and QT Marshall are super close, and Tony welcomed me back with open arms last summer, and so like anytime they're anywhere near me, they let me know to come on out.
How did that happen last summer? I know obviously it was Rampage, Roderick Strong. So how did that all kind of come to bat? And were you surprised that that all came together?
It was just a shot in the dark, really. I mean, me and QT stay in touch. We'd wrestle each other on indies a little bit, and I mentioned it. I said I saw y'all were coming to Texas in Arlington, which is only a couple hours from me, for about 6 weeks, and he said, "Actually, TK was mentioning you. Tony was mentioning you. Would you want to come do it?" I said, "Absolutely." Was he really mentioning me? I thought he was joking or ribbing me at first, and he's like, "Yes." And so when I got there, Tony came up to me and said, "Man, I personally asked for you to be here for these 6 weeks, and I got a bunch of Ring of Honor matches, and I got a Rampage match out of it as well." And so it was a good time. I got to do a bunch of stuff. I was really happy about how everything happened, and I definitely thought they were going to re-sign me right then. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case for then, but I don't never say never is what they say. Things are still very good and kind and cordial between us.
Absolutely. So when they do bring you back, like you said, you were hoping for the re-sign, or are you okay being a free agent? Do you like being a free agent?
I like on the indies, I've been able to get the biggest and the most important currency in wrestling is time. So I feel like I never got time to tell the stories that I would like to tell, especially match wise in AEW, just due to how things were structured there and where I was at. And I feel like on the indies, I've been able to prove this year how good I can be when I'm given time in my matches. I didn't really blow up on the indies when I made a name for myself in pro wrestling. It kind of was through Sammy Guevara's vlog and AEW Dark. And so people don't associate me as being one of the up and coming best in-ring guys. And so with this year and a half post AEW, I've been out to prove that. And that's why GCW has been so great for me, is because I've been able to wrestle with some of the best upcoming guys, some of the best independent talent out there, and prove that not only can I hang, that I'm one of the best as well. And so, I just want to prove that all together. And unfortunately, in Ring of Honor and AEW, I never got to have a match longer than 10 minutes. And I feel like if I was given that opportunity, I can prove that I will not only get the crowd behind me and get good reactions, but I would just continue to move up, But again, that's my personal opinion.
Now, when you did blow up, like you said, with the vlog and with Sammy Guevara, just explain why you think that's kind of why you blew up, because it's so interesting. Just nowadays, it's not maybe necessarily on TV. You can kind of blow up from the internet. You know what I mean? It's just so different nowadays.
Well, absolutely. I think during the pandemic, we were all stuck at home, working from home, and you find little things to entertain yourself, to distract you, to pass the time. And it was the perfect time for Sammy Guevara's vlog, because we were also trying to figure out ways to pass the time during those 2-day shoots. We would take 2 weeks worth of Dynamite at a time every 2 weeks in Jacksonville. And so we developed this friendship between us and the vlog guys, and we would film different random funny bits, man, just funny stories that we could try to get on TV or AEW Dark. And it was a chance for me to network, through Sammy, who was already friends with all the top guys in AEW. He would slowly introduce me to the Codys and the Dustins and the QTs and the Young Bucks and the Jerichos of the world. And I got to intermingle, and they started to understand my attitude and my mindset, and understand how smart I was to the business, how funny I could be, how entertaining I could be, how quick-witted I could be. And I slowly earned the respect of everybody on the roster through AEW Dark, because they were filming so many dark matches, and I got to wrestle so many people on the roster. Slowly but surely, people understood, oh, this guy is good at what he does. He can make me look good. He's easy to work with. And so I slowly gained the respect of the roster members by wrestling them. And I slowly gained the respect of top guys by being able to intermingle with them through Sammy's vlog. And I slowly gained the support of the fans just by being entertaining through all of that, right? On the vlog, we do something where Cody calls me the master of the tornado DDT. So just to pop Cody during my AEW Dark matches, I tease doing the tornado DDT, even though I was never going to hit it because I was never going to win to begin with. And so it just builds from there. And the fans saw that and saw how funny and, you know, how entertaining and different and creative it was. And it all snowballed slowly but surely. Tony had to sign me after almost a year of just doing stuff on the vlog and in the AEW Dark.
Man, that was such a crazy time if you think about it, the COVID era. I mean, that, like you said, you're taping 2 weeks at once, but it, you know, hardly any fans. Obviously, really, sometimes no fans. There was just some of the wrestlers. What was that experience like? 'Cause, I mean, that's just like wild stuff.
Insane. I remember wrestling Brandon Cutler like 1:30 on a Thursday night in like 20-degree weather. It's like freezing late at night in that open Jacksonville amphitheater, and like the ring feeling like concrete because it was just so cold and so late. And it's not the same adrenaline that you get wrestling in front of a crowd when you only have a few other wrestlers. It just doesn't feel like you're fully in the moment, like when you're in wrestling in front of a full audience. So it's such a weird thing to describe because we'll probably never have to go through that again. But that was just the wrestling side of the vlog stuff, and just being able to ingratiate myself with the AEW locker room was incredible. They say you don't know that you're in the good old days while you're in them. And that's exactly how I feel about that, man. We created something special with that vlog. You know, I remember Cody Rhodes even, like, we have a big vlog group chat. It's me, Marco Stunt, Alan Angel, Sammy Guevara, Aaron Solo, Griff Garrison. And like Cody asked Sammy to add him to the group just so he can send us one long message. And he basically said, hey guys, keep this group together, fight for each other, stick with each other. Y'all remind me a lot of the BTE crew, you know, the elite crew. And like, y'all have something and potential to make something grow. I see how entertaining y'all can be. Keep this together, make this a thing. Unfortunately, slowly but surely through injuries and releases, we didn't get to fully, I feel like, capitalize on what all we could do as a group. But I do think it just goes to show how special of a time it was and how cool what we were able to create was during that time.
Man, Cody seems like quite a leader by, you know, kind of, you know, getting a message out there to you guys. Is that kind of what you thought of him as? And was he, you know, like a true leader?
Leader is a weird way because then it implies that there's like subordinates, but mentor is a perfect way to put it. I think he's
perfect.
A great mentor. I think he's a phenomenon. And still to this day, me, him, and Sammy have a group chat, and we talk about life and we talk about our kids because we're all fathers now. And we talk about wrestling in general. Sometimes it's AEW, sometimes it's WWE, what's going right, what's going wrong. Anytime he's like doing something to expand the wrestling sphere, anytime he's like jumping on a podcast that you wouldn't normally see a wrestler on, or he's doing the Tonight Show, we message back and forth about the experience and what it's like. And, you know, little things. When I got hurt, he was there to help me out. When he saw me putting on weight, he was there to encourage me. I don't text him weekly by any means, but, you know, at least once a month we have some sort of a chat, and he's always so encouraging and kind and thoughtful and funny. So yeah, definitely a great mentor that I'm very lucky to have. He's on top of the business right now. So to say he's one of my friends, even though he likes to joke and say we're not friends, but he says that about a lot of people that he's friends with because he just hates admitting and he loves to rib people. Very happy to call the guy who's on top one of my friends right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Top of the hill, no doubt about it. Now, interesting. I just saw recently Miro gone from AEW. He released, and I feel like Miro kind of helped put you on the map, right? With AEW.
Oh, without a doubt.
What'd you think about that?
I thought Miro's great to me. You know, said we got to have 3 matches all together. One before I was signed and on just a random AEW Dark. One the night I got signed. And then we had a main event match a couple weeks later where I put my car on the line against the TNT title. And so working with Miro was fantastic, man. He's very smart. He's very giving. He's very creative, and he's hilarious. And, you know, he's a tough son of a gun, too. I definitely stiffed him hard a couple of those because he wanted me to lay it in, and I gave it to him. I think the Redeemer, the God's favorite champion run is one of the greatest runs in the past decade. I think everything he was doing between the vignettes and the matches and the promos were just so creative and unique. And it just goes to show He was able to get over as Rusev and with Rusev Day in WWE, and he was able to get over in AEW with the Redeemer and God's Favorite Champion run. So I just have no doubt about it. Whatever he decides to do next, he's going to get over in that. You know, he's done some work with streaming platforms and being a, you know, spokesperson for them. He's done some work in movies and stunt work. And so I think, you know, he's very smart and strategic about whatever he does. And I know whatever he does next is going to be great. I would love to see him wrestle some more.
How did that come about with you wrestling him, like for the TNT title shot, the one that really kind of gets you your contract? How did that all come about?
Well, that's definitely a Tony Khan idea. However, speaking to Cody and QT, you know, they say that they pitched this for me to wrestle QT and for me to get a contract. Cody and QT were pushing for me to get signed hard for weeks, probably months, even though I didn't know it. They were behind the scenes pitching for this. And Tony kind of reshaped their idea into this Miro title shot. And so I had, you know, had no clue. I'd wrestled like 40 matches on AEW Dark, and I never even once had a TV spot or TV match, I should say. They, you know, they've used a bunch of extras to get squashed real quick on TV, and I was never even used for that, even though I was there every week and done so much. And then, like, in a 3-week period, I got kicked by Malachi Black in like a backstage thing on TV. I got beat up by Andrade backstage on TV. And then the following week, they announced this first ever Rampage, me versus Miro. So I thought, oh, they've been using me to get beat up. This is probably just another spot for me to get beat up on. What I didn't know is that they had planned this out for me to, you know, get signed. Miro come to me early that day, and he laid out the match to me and told me how we were going to make these 3 DDTs mean something. Then we're going to cut it down, even though we only had 3-4 minutes all together. He made the most of that 3 minutes to try to make me look good and to make me, even though I didn't know that's what he was trying to do. I was just so amped up and excited about just getting TV time because I was never on TV that I ignored all signs that they might even sign me. I really convinced myself they weren't going to sign me. I convinced myself that management did not like me besides, you know, some of the top guys that were constantly pushing for me and helping me get booked, you know, because QT, who was a good friend of mine, was the guy who was booking extras at that time. So, of course, you know, he was always making sure I was booked. And, you know, Cody and the Bucks and others were always like pushing for me and hoping and helping me get matches. But I didn't know if management was ever going to sign me or like me enough to sign me. And luckily, after the match, when Sammy Guevara's music hit, I knew that they were going to give me the contract. But I had no clue up until that point. Like, they go to commercial break after the match, and I'm laying there in the middle of the ring, and Bryce Remsburg is like the referee, and he said, "Stay down after commercial break, stand up and get your applause." And I was just like so happy that the match went well. I was like, "Bryce, it doesn't get any better than that." And he told me afterwards, "It's about to get so much better than that." And I get up and I try to look really tough, and I'm selling, and then Sammy Guevara's music hit, and I immediately stopped selling and look, and I realized, oh, they are giving me a contract. And I was like, there's no amount of words that can to describe the emotion and overwhelming feelings that I have of that moment and of that night. And it was just clear as day through the emotion I showed on television. I was crying tears of joy when I was given that contract that night.
You feel like that was, you know, like the pinnacle of like your time at AEW, because that's so cool. Like, they never do that. Like, somebody, you know, gets a contract on television. I mean, that's, you know, pretty damn cool. Like, so different too.
Absolutely. You know, like I said, I'd been there damn near a year backstage just working as extra. And I saw so many guys, random guys, come in, impress management, and get signed behind the scenes, right? Christopher Daniels or TK would walk up to him and they would offer him a deal and they would sign him. And I saw the joy and the congratulations. And, you know, you never want to compare yourself to others, but there's like this feeling of like, what am I doing wrong? What do they have that I don't have? What is going on here? I feel like I'm getting over with the top brass. I feel like I'm getting over with the audience. Why is it not me? Why is it all these people? And I watched multiple people get signed as they slowly came in. Not saying none of them didn't deserve it, because they all did. But I just was like waiting for my chance, my turn. What do I got to do? And it was driving me nearly crazy. And then it kind of all worked out. It was all worth it. I would gladly go through it over again because they made a moment out of it on television. And you know, that's what I learned going to AEW. It's not about matches. You absolutely do. You want to have a great match? 100%. But it's about creating memorable moments in the fans' minds. And that night they created a moment. And I know that because everywhere I go, no matter what indie shows or meet and greets I go do, people come up to me and say, "Man, I felt so much emotion. I love seeing you getting signed. I cried that night with you." And you can tell it resonated with fans on a deeper level than just any type of quick match or storyline would have. And so I'm very thankful for that. But then you used a word that you said, pinnacle of my time there. I say this a lot. I feel like it's a blessing and a curse, that moment, right? Because I really never did anything with it afterwards up until my release. I only had a few TV matches here and there, 1 or 2 feuds, even if you can call them that. And so I am now, I say it's a curse because now I am living to top that moment. I have to top it. I can't let that be, the only thing people know Fuego del Sol for. There's got to be more, and I got to do more. And I'm now hooked to creating those types of stories and moments, and I just want to do more of that. And so absolutely, it was the peak of anything I've done in my 11-year career, because like there's no words to describe the emotion I felt that night.
So you get the contract. You end up getting the car because you got money from the contract. What happened to the car? Is the car gone? Did Miro take it? I mean, where's the car?
I remember even talking to Miro that day. He's like, "This is dumb. I don't want your car. I don't need this car." And after the match, you see him after he beats me, he stuffed the keys back in my mouth. So technically, he gave the car back. So he never took the papers. They're still, legally, it's still mine.
Right. You give the title.
Yes. He just wanted the belt. That's all he wanted.
When you're looking at, right, like you said, with your time, like you didn't have as many feuds, kind of short matches. Is that something that you're okay with? Like when you look back, or is it something like, oh, I wish I had more TV time, just as far as like to be able to showcase that I can work and showcase my skills?
I think anybody who's truly driven and ambitious and are motivated by more than just money would say yes to that. Absolutely. I want to do more. I want to prove myself. I want to wrestle more. But I think there's a fine line when you're dealing with management between ambition and annoyance. You never want to become annoying. You never want to seem like you're complaining about your spot. And it's like, how can I push for more or try to create something more without management feel like I'm betraying them or betraying their trust or their plans or, becoming a nuisance? I don't want that. And I feel like at times I did become that. Not too much. I didn't overstep any lines, but I definitely tiptoed around it. And like, I can understand why that would be annoying eventually. But this is all in hindsight. At the time, I just wanted more. I knew I lost 40-something matches in a row, and I was able to create a groundswell of support, of people cheering for me, even through 3-minute squashes. And I thought, wow, I finally get signed, and they barely use me post that, even to lose. I'm like, please, just keep throwing me out there. Let me lose, because I'll at least create something out of nothing. But when you're not on TV, sometimes they don't book you to fly to television, which means I can't do the vlog really if I'm not at television. I slowly just lost all momentum that I had. And so, of course, you want more. And you kind of realize the role that you're in, or at least where you're at on the totem pole. And there's just guys higher. When you look at AEW right now, even some of the champions get left behind or forgotten because there's just guys higher up on the totem pole that when you are dishing out TV time, that they come first for whatever reason. Maybe it's their tenure. Maybe it's just because they have the most influence or storyline ideas that they pitched or done this and that with. Sometimes it's just a case of top guys don't want to work with you right now, or they haven't pitched to work with you. Sometimes it's just all about where you're at on the totem pole. And I knew I was going to be starting low, and I was low to begin with because it took me a year of scratching and clawing to even get signed in the first place. And so I definitely know what I want to do with my career and the potential I feel like I have. Again, it's my own self opinion, and other people may disagree, but people will brush you off until you prove them wrong over and over again. And the best way to prove them wrong is to do and have successful matches and programs. And that's all I want. I just want to keep proving myself and have successful promos, matches, and program things to get people engaged and things to draw up interest and get people excited about. And that's what I love doing.
That's interesting. You kind of mentioned the losing streak. That could actually be good television because it could give you like a storyline like, oh, when's he going to break the losing streak? It actually could keep you going. Even though you're losing, it could actually keep the fans on your side because you get so much sympathy, right?
It's absolutely that. I mean, I say this all the time. It's like losses don't matter. It's TV time that matters. If me and you wrestle tonight and you lose, but then they follow you to the back with the camera and you're showing frustration, you're showing attitude, and you're saying, I need to change this. Next week, I'm going to change this. Then we have a story about your loss. And now it's like, oh man, where are they going to go with John next week? But if we show up and it's me versus you and I win in 2 minutes and you're not on TV for another 3 months, There's no story to your loss at all. It doesn't matter. It's really just a beat or point just for me to move on to the next thing. And that's where you have to get smart on how you mix it up. You can't keep your booking mundane or repetitive, and it can't be 50-50 either. There has to be a ebb and flow and a diversity in ideas and wins and losses and things of that nature. But it all comes down to where you're at on the totem pole in the booking. And you hope to, I've always said this, I will play my role to the best of my abilities in hopes of earning a better role. And sometimes you get that opportunity and they run with you and it's right place, right time. And sometimes you don't get that opportunity and things snowball the other way. And unfortunately you get released or let go. And we've seen that happen with tons of talent all over the years. And it's sometimes just place and time thing.
Definitely. Now, as far as getting released, so to speak, it wasn't really released, right? When you got left, basically your contract was just up and didn't get re-signed, right? I mean, is that kind of what happened with AEW?
Technically, I feel like I had basically a 1 year deal with 3 option years. So every year they could come back to me and say, yes, we're renewing. And so the first year they came back and they renewed. So I had 2021 to 2021, 2022. I got signed in August, so August to August, and then 2022 to 2023, they let me know, hey, we're not going to renew. And so they released me, technically, yes. It was their decision. It wasn't mine, but they let me go and release it to the public, and they were very cordial about that, and I tried to be cordial in return and, not trying to burn any bridges because I have a ton of love there. And, it did feel like a dirty breakup, though, in a lot of ways because, I feel like, if AEW won my heart, they broke it, absolutely. But I tried to be professional about it all, and it led to me going back there last summer. So, I mean, I think I handled it as professionally as I could, and they did what they did. At the end of the day, it's a business, and it was the first taste of that I got, that he kind of hit me with a dose of reality, that no matter how much you romanticize about a company or a place or a boss or anything of that nature, business is business, and you're just a cog in the wheel, and the wheel's going to keep spinning.
And it is interesting, like when somebody leaves a promotion, like when you leave AEW, like what do they make of themselves? What do they do? It seems like you really kind of showcasing your skills and showing what you can do, like GCW title matches for 20 plus minutes, AAW, all these different matches, but just as far as really kind of working, you know what I mean? It's not 5 minutes on Dark or 3 minutes here or Dynamite Rampage, 5 minutes. It's like 20 minutes, 25 minutes. I mean, you're really kind of showcasing it. So it's almost not, it could be bittersweet. It almost could be a good thing because you get to show how good of a worker you are.
Oh, it's definitely bittersweet. I feel like I became the best wrestler I've ever become in the year and a half that I've been going from AEW. I literally am the best wrestler I've ever been. It was one of the best things to happen to my in-ring work was getting released from AEW because it allowed me to work more. However, it's bitter because now I'm not making the 6 figures a year that I once was. That's the crappy part. It's like, how do you stay on your grind and make things work and get your side hustles going and have all these different avenues of income to keep yourself sustainable in hopes of getting another contract eventually? I get it why people get lazy because the money is good. Some people don't want to rock the boat. They don't want to say anything to get people excited or upset about their booking or anything because the money is good. And I completely understand that. It's such a reality check when you dream of doing this for so long and you scrape and claw and scratch for pennies on the dollar. And then someone finally gives you the big contract and you're getting paid more than you've ever been paid to wrestle as little as probably you've ever wrestled. A lot of guys go from wrestling 2 to 3 times every single weekend to wrestling twice a month, 3 times a month, maybe once a week if you're lucky, So it's like it's a weird spot to be in. You could absolutely get lazy, or your in-ring could get sloppier, or your cardio could get worse just because you're not wrestling at the level you once were wrestling. And I feel like that I learned as soon as I hit the indies, I needed to hit the ground running and try to be the opposite of what was presented in AEW. I need to show people that I can go in ring and I can have great matches with all these great independent talents. And I feel like I've done just that in that year and a half. And I think that's one of the things that led me back to AEW in these small one-off roles.
Who are you looking to wrestle? It could be indies, could be GCW. Who are you out there kind of looking to wrestle?
I mean, just the best, the people with the buzz, the people that can generate interest, man. I would love to wrestle Matt Cardona. Me and him haven't had a match yet, and I think there's definitely similar. I remember Dave Meltzer the night I got signed, or the week after I got signed, he compared it to, it feels like when they didn't pull the trigger with Zack Ryder and WWE, AEW is listening to the crowd, and they pulled the trigger with Fuego del Sol. There's a lot of parallels and similarities to what I did in AEW and what he did in WWE and how things shaped it out. And I feel like it's an easy story to tell of how I thought I was a lot like him. And then I see what he does on the indies and I realize we're nothing alike. There's an easy story to tell in that. And I feel like he's phenomenal at generating buzz and interest on the indies. So I would love to wrestle him just to test myself in ring. Speedball Mike Bailey, I feel like he's one of the top 5 best in-ring workers in the world. I would love to step in the ring with him. There's rumors he might be going to AEW. Who knows? Masha Slamovich, I think it's rare when you see a woman step above everyone else on the indies, and I feel like she's been able to do that. So I would love to wrestle Masha. There's just a ton of guys. I could sit here and name people for days. I've recently got to wrestle Mance Warner, who just showed up at TNA, and I love everything he's doing and how gritty and tough and different he is. There's just a ton of guys, and I've been lucky enough to wrestle a lot of GCW's top guys, but there's still more that I feel like I haven't even scratched the surface in touching or locking up with.
What's like a goal of yours coming up? Like, it could be short term, could be long term. Like, what is like a goal for you in the business?
I put out a list earlier this year of like 2025 goals. I want to put on 20 pounds. I want to wrestle in Japan. I want to win some GCW gold, and I want to sign another contract to be on TV somewhere. Those are the 4 major goals of this year. And not only just this year. It's like these needs to happen in the next 3 to 4 months, or I need to seriously reconsider what I'm doing with my life. I have set some lofty goals for myself, but I'm fully aware that I can achieve every one of them if I set my mind to it and work as hard as I need to do it. And some of it is luck, and some of it is networking, and some of it is just right place, right time. But for the most part, if you put the ball in my court, I can score 100 points 10 times out of 10.
We were saying AEW possible contract, that could be something to go back to. Would WWE? I mean, everyone kind of says, "Oh, it's always on the radar." Is WWE on the radar too? Because Cody's over there. I mean, they're having all these different shows now. They're on 9 different networks now. Like, is WWE on your radar?
I mean, I stay in touch with Cody, and I stay in touch with William Regal, who I made a good contact with when I was when he was in AEW. And I talked to 𝐔𝐿𝐿, who's really the man behind all of this, the WWID deals and things of that nature. And I've done some backstage work for WWE in the last year and a half. I've done some small things and talked to the right people and, collected a couple checks from them. So I'm definitely in talks with them, but there's no like immediate, feels like, that they want to have me there on this end. So it makes me think, should I change things up? But I know if I change things up right now in a major way, it'll affect my relationship with AEW. So, I'm trying to weigh my options the best that I could. But like, I go where I'm paid to go. And right now it's all about supply and demand. If someone wants Fuego del Sol and is willing to give me contract money, I'll do it. I'll drop it immediately, whether it's AEW, TNA, WWE, New Japan, wherever. I want to go where I'm wanted and where I feel like I will have the best opportunities to succeed and showcase my skills on television.
Could be back to Ring of Honor too, right? I mean, you were just there with Wheeler Yuta, so it could be Ring of Honor too with AEW.
Absolutely. Wherever the money leads, I will go where they pay me to go.
Now, as we start to head towards the wind end here, start to head towards the finish, tell everybody where they can find you, follow you, and even some shows you've got coming up as well.
You can follow me on X/Twitter at Fuego del Sol, on Instagram at Fuego del Sol _ as well as on TikTok, Fuego del Sol _. Find me at YouTube as at Fuego del Sol vids, and twitch.tv/Fuego del Sol. I stream weekly on that. I got the Jersey J Cup coming up this weekend, February 15th and 16th. I'm very much looking forward to that in New Jersey. Come on out and support GCW. I'll be at Demand Lucha in Toronto on Thursday, February 20th. I'll be in Huntington, Tennessee for Inhumane Championship Wrestling on February 22nd. I will be doing a 3-day loop with GCW in San Diego, Los Angeles, and Phoenix, Arizona on February 28th, March 1st, and March 2nd. So come out and check out all of those. That's the next 3 weeks of shows and where I'll be at. Come check me out at any of those. And just follow me on social media to check out all my upcoming dates.
And you've had some GCW title shots, some big matches, some long matches too. So maybe that GCW title could be in your horizon as well.
I would love that now, as well as, I got a tag team partner in Big Sam Stackhouse, and we would love to challenge the Garbage Daddies for the tag team gold as well. Anyway, I can check that off my list. I need some GCW gold, some hardware this year, somehow, some way.
All right, Fuego, thank you so much for all the time tonight. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate you for having me.